it's been productive and very friendly, and we had a great meeting last night with the foreign ministers, of course. And a wonderful dinner too, wasn't it?
Well, you had dinner? Well, I guarantee you.
I was never smart enough to get one of those.
No, I did enjoy that. Well, look, I mean, I'm glad you did you meet the Electoral Commission?
Yes, we did.
Yeah. And thank you very much for all the assistance provided to all your consultants. Hopefully next week the momentum will pick up on that, and we can finalize that in the next couple of weeks or so. We can get the observers going. And, the whole purpose of having the observer.
Quite right.
How is the market?
It was. It really was. The permanent secretary described it to me as the heart of Suva, and it really was, wasn't it? It was bustling, and yeah.
As you rightly pointed out, we had some discussions on the elections and how he thought the progress was going, and he had met up with the Electoral Commission. But we had just general discussions about Fiji and politics of the past and politics of the future. We did, as you heard some of the conversation, talked about building strong institutions in Fiji and how important that was. Yeah.
So I also understand that Australia they have offered assistance for upcoming elections. Has the observer part of things, has it been discussed, or are we expecting Australian observers?
We had, as you know, that have agreed to have an international observer group, and we had asked the Australians to head the observer group. The Australians have agreed to do so on the basis that they be a co-leader as far as the observer group is concerned. So Australia will lead together with some other country. We have said that we'll figure that out in respect of which country that would be very soon. We'd prefer to have a country from perhaps a growing democracy, if you like, or a developing country as one of the co-leaders with Australia. But we hope to get some momentum on that next week and work out the terms of reference for the observer group. I understand that some political parties, probably for the sake of gaining your attention, have been making comments about why should there be a terms of reference. I mean, that is quite obtuse to say that. Any observer group that comes along will always have a terms of reference, as did the terms of reference. There was one for the 2006 EU observer group. All we're saying is that the terms of reference of the observer group, it needs to be something fairly practical. It needs to have some definitive, for example, definitions, in terms of credibility, etc. And the other point is that when we talk about observer groups, we want basically assessments. Assessments from which we can all learn from. It's not, we're not here to play politics with the elections office. We're not here to play politics with the observer group. The whole point of this exercise is that we build very strong capacity and build institutions in Fiji. So it doesn't happen that every year or every time we have to have elections we go out and look for foreigners. We use foreigners now, we use their skill sets, we appreciate their skill sets, we want to learn from them. We also want to be able to, at the same time, identify good Fijians who will be able to carry on with the job, who can learn on the job, and then they can run the elections themselves. It makes sense. And that's what we should all be working towards. It should be a completely bipartisan support for that. All political parties should be working towards that. At the moment, unfortunately, they're all trying to score political points. They're not doing themselves any favors. They're not doing, more importantly, our country any favors. And it is quite encouraging to note the response from the Australians and indeed the Kiwis too, who obviously have a much better vision than these political parties who are making these comments, and we're working together with them. Well, we'll have to talk to the Australians and some of the other countries that have already put up their hands to become observers and see which one of them wants to become a co-leader, with Australia.
So did you want to
Of course.
So, after the discussions today, are you pleased with Australia showing interest in this project?
Oh, they've been helping us now for a number of months, and like I said, we expressed our appreciation for the number of personnel that they've contributed to the elections office. There have been some very, very good technical people. We appreciate the assistance. The idea is that we work with them, learn with them, and that our staff that are hired through the Fijian elections office, in particular the Fijian staff, learn from them. It's a wonderful learning opportunity for them and build their own personal capacities. And like everybody's saying, is that I heard the electoral commissioner, one of them, I think Larry Thomas, making comments saying, they're ready for the elections to be held within the day. Everybody else is saying that we have the capacity to do that. The only group of people that seems to think that we won't have the capacity are the politicians themselves, the political parties. So they seem to be in the minority. They should be rather focusing on, encouraging the elections office and working together with the elections office, as opposed to finding every single opportunity to cut down the experts we've got from Australia and New Zealand, the good Fijian staff that has been selected to work together with them.